Hello, everybody. We are live. Welcome to Encounter Roleplay. My name is Encounter Joshua, and we are back for another episode of Adventures on the High Seas. Super excited to see what kind of shenanigans we get up to today. We're going to go around, meet some of our wonderful cast and crew, and get on with some, possibly mutiny, possibly terrible things. Who knows? But first of all, let's go around and introduce the cast and crew. First up on my... nailed it. Over this way, Mackenzie, would you like to introduce yourself and who you are playing tonight?
Yes, I am Mackenzie Wilkes, and I am playing Electra, the Triton Barbarian of the Storm Herald.
Fantastic. And currently in charge of your own little ship. I'm so proud of you. On your way off into the bright, bright world. What else do we have? Role players. Hello.
Hello.
How you doing?
Great. It has been a little while since I have been here, and I remember that I am playing Zithris, a elf of some variety, a warcaster, which I'm really excited about because I haven't got a chance to check that out from Xanthar's yet, and I'm looking forward to it.
Dabby Doozles. Speaking of fantastic individuals, we're gonna go down below to see the wonderful Gaming.exp. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing great. I'm having a blast.
You're really selling me on that. Like,
my name
is
is Zippy, and I'm playing Tinker. And Tinker is an envoy warforged. He's an artillerist, and he's mute. So, that's fun. I'm super fun.
It is indeed fun. He's the funnest. You can really tell today. Unfortunately, JL Nice Girl is currently away, so skipping over. Last but certainly not least, we have Crowan. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing pretty well. Today I'll be playing Quick Kip, the Halfling Rogue, ready to assist in some mutiny, perhaps.
Absolutely. Just perhaps, because it's not like terrible things are afoot. But more on that in just a moment before we go through that. Let me tell you guys about the wonderful sponsors who have made everything possible for today. First of all, Fantasy Grounds is our virtual tabletop of choice. Try it here for free if you go to www.fantasygrounds.com, and you can check out how we're doing all of our roles today, and it's super awesome. You can also check out Wayland Games, who sell incredible D&D minis and other fantasy minis, and you get up to 20% off the recommended retail prices, so you can get yourself little things to put on little ships and then blow those ships apart and then cry because you blew your model ships apart. And finally, but certainly not least, Tabletop Loot have our incredible dice collection for sale. You can check them out at tabletoploot.com. If you guys want to know all the ways you can get involved with today's show, you can donate. Check out below to donate and give Nat 1s, Nat 20s, and Wild Magic Surgeons, and all manner of crazy shenanigans. But speaking of crazy shenanigans, boy, do we have a tale for you. Fucked it up immediately. Not last week, but the week before, last episode, I should say, on Ghost of Saltmarsh, we had a whole bunch of crazy things happen. I'm trying to rack my brain. So first off, we started off, there was an elf on board, talk of mutiny. You guys then realized that no one had gone through, the crew realized that no one had gone through the captain's quarters. People were still trying to make their way in to investigate the galley's captain quarters and see if there were any surviving members on board. As to a man, everyone they'd encountered so far, but the lady in the hold, the lady in the hold had been killed by some unknown thing. They were all dead, bulging eyes, clutching at their throats, seemingly poisoned in some manner. So the party managed to get into the captain's quarters after Kip, I believe, had some trouble with the lock ever so slightly, but kind of brazened it out. Finally managed to bust your way in there, and I believe Electra immediately got shot. as you guys came through by a quivering officer who was cowering behind his desk, the only surviving member of the crew so far. So they, after a rather vicious combat where Electra kicked the crap out of him, you subdued the captain, and he quickly showed a great deal of cowardice and fear as he hadn't had time to reload his gun. You guys went through the chambers. Kip found some interesting things. He found some documents and some valuables to pilfer, including quite a bit of platinum, I believe. And then past that, you continued interrogating him until Kip went to go and check out the other door that led out of the private captain's quarters, and someone discovered that it would appear that he has a little girl with him. His daughter, the captain's daughter, is traveling with him, and it came just too late of a warning for Electra, who was shot for the second time, this time with a blunderbuss, which took half the door off, by a terrified 8-year-old girl who was hiding in the privy from whatever it was that had befallen this ship. Together, you guys have come up with an elaborate ruse to get them both to a rowboat down on your ship, which Electra has taken them to, and Electra's plan is to row them close enough to the shore that they can make their way back to land and away from all the pirates. In the meantime, Tinker has disguised himself as the captain, has been beaten a little bit, taken by the crew to be interrogated by the captain, and the captain is busy interrogating the elven lady who was found on board. Just as all that was happening, the crew were investigating why Electra was stealing a rowboat and what was going on with the lady who was being interrogated in the captain's quarters. Tinker started dancing. Everyone looked in a million different directions. There was an explosion on the galley, and someone yelled the word traitor. And that is where we are, in a confusing mess of possible mutiny, possible something else going on. No one really knows. There may be a storm on the horizon. I'm sure it'll be fine. In the meantime, we are going to flash back about 15 minutes before all of these shenanigans took place into a grotty little captain's quarters.
The captain that was with Electra also has a cloak of the manta that Tinker gave him.
Very important point. Thank you for reminding me. So, aboard the Red Lady, in the captain's quarters, faced with the unpleasant demeanor of Captain Kyber Halfjaw, the orc who is in charge of this vessel, there is an elven lady, a survivor of the ship that the galley that you guys have stumbled upon in open waters. This ship was a ship that you guys were supposed to be coming after and have set upon far earlier than you were expecting, seemingly coming out of the mist carried over by an ocean storm. Found the ship listing aimlessly in open water. And as everyone on board is dead, bar yourself, so far as the captain has been made aware, he has some questions for you. So aboard the Red Lady, you find yourself sat, or more likely standing, with the only chair that is available to you being a 3-legged little stool, which looks like it might fall apart or disintegrate at any moment. In front of you, you see that you're not sure if the wraparound windows at the back of the ship, around the captain's quarters, were stained glass to start with. They look like they might just be so filthy green with ocean scum and everything else that they have bathed everything in this room in a green kind of dull light. And the floor is a dark brown, as are the walls, as the hull of the ship, and it is wet underfoot in every direction. Stinks of rot, of old food, of cheap ale, of rum, and there's sort of a large section of the desk which has been cut down into in a bowl, and there are bones in it that look like they've been picked clean, still with a few scraps of flesh and skin hanging from them. And sat behind the desk is a large orc. Not a half-orc, a full-blooded orc with a twisted jaw that is slightly sunken, a distrustful look upon his face, short-shaven head, and leaning against his desk is a double-headed axe. And he is staring at you, Zephyros. You have been summoned here to explain the fate of your ship. Though as of yet, since you have been left alone, the captain has not spoken, has just sized you up with a long, unfriendly glare.
I would sit or stand wherever available. If he didn't make a seat available to me, I would just kind of stand with my hands crossed behind my back.
You can chant the rickety three-legged
I'll
stool
stand.
if you wish. Yeah, okay. You stand. You note that this ship sways a lot heavier than the ship you've come off of. It's more of a coastal ship or a river ship, not really meant to be this far out into open waters. Yeah.
Well, this is nice.
He raises an eyebrow and... Yeah. Nice. You... not dead.
Well, thanks to your crewmates, yeah. I'm still
Everyone
here.
else dead. You not dead.
I was captured and put inside of a prison cell. I don't know what happened to them.
So... dead long time?
I don't know how long I was down there. Couldn't have been more than a few days. I didn't die of thirst.
What are you captured for?
They took me off another ship. It was a merchant vessel. I just bought passage. And then they raided that ship and stole me. I suspect that I was going to be sold.
Roll me a deception check.
You have fantasy runs. I have a +2 to my deception.
A +2. A mighty +2. Yeah, that is a whopping 5. He looks at you and scowls. You get taken by a ship. Not much pirate ship.
It all happened so fast. I really don't remember much.
Where are you from?
What world is this, Avara?
Yeah.
Well, like most elves, I have spent a lot of time in Mantle.
He blinks a couple of times. And where are you heading?
I don't really have a destination. I just want to be a hero. I want to be a great adventurer, like... Can I name some random great adventurer?
Roll me a history check.
With my history, I have a +3.
Oh, okay. Yeah. You take a moment on a 21, rack your brains, and you remember tales of
Like the White Rain family. What
yeah,
was that chick's name?
You said Lady White Rain,
Yeah.
and there was a nod, and he vaguely seems to understand.
I am not useless. I have many skills. I am going to be a great wizard someday.
You cook?
Sure.
You know how to fix people.
Like healing?
Yeah.
No.
He grumbles, reaches down onto the floor, picks up a large tankard, puts it down. It's stylized, carved to look like a skull, but you can see is made of heavily stained wood. And he takes a big gulp from it.
Is there any liquid in that cup?
Yes. there
No.
is.
It says choose an area of water for shape water. Could I instead use this on whatever liquid is in his tankard?
Whatever it isn't water, but I'll allow you to. It's not magical, so yeah, I'll allow you to.
Okay, so yes, yeah. And as he goes to take a drink from the tankard, or as he's lifting it up, I'll get the water to like lift up and take the shape of a snake and kind of go back and forth in a rhythmic motion.
He's he manages to not throw it away in panic as a snake appears. Instead, he tries to bite the head of the snake off.
I'll let him do
like
it.
he gulps down the ale, which becomes inanimate, and he looks at it, and the ale splashes back, and he looks around confused, and then glances at you and trickster.
Quite, I say, casting Mage Hand and bringing him a quill from his desk and placing it down in front of him. Something
He has
shitty.
he has charcoal.
Okay.
And like this is not a very literate man. Also,
Wait, does he have another bottle somewhere? I'll just bring him
yeah,
another
you bring him
bottle
another
then.
bottle, no problem.
Okay.
Like he does not do the writing for the ship. But you,
I can also read and write.
what's your intelligence score?
I have a modifier of +3, so I think that puts me at least a 16. Yeah.
Okay, you're starting to build a picture that maybe you're not sure if he's not the brightest or if he's struggling because this isn't his native tongue. It isn't his mother tongue, common. If he is an orc, and he does indeed look to be a full-blooded orc, he might only have learned, he might not be the greatest conversationalist in another tongue, but a lot of pirates, a lot of sailors speak Orcish as a second language. It being orcs being quite a naval race in this world, having a lot of influence out at sea.
I do not speak Orcish, unfortunately, so even as that thought crosses my mind, I kind of furrow my brow for just a second, not wanting to think that any of the irritation is directed at him at all. And I will make a display of casting mage armor on myself, and have little motes of light kind of soak into me for a moment and just kind of eye him to see if he's being impressed even in the slightest.
Roll me a performance check.
Okay, my performance has a bonus of 2.
A strong +2.
Strong.
A 2 + 2. 2 by 2 they go onto the arc.
Hands of blue.
He looks at you and doesn't seem particularly impressed. What ship? He contemplates for a moment, sort of chewing at his own lip. Where value? Money, gold.
You think that I know where treasure is?
On ship.
On that ship? I don't know. I was captured. I can look.
What ship you taken from?
The Unfair Maiden, of course.
Roll me one more deception check.
That's a +2 to my deception as I pick some random ship name.
That's a 6.
You suck at rolling.
No, I don't. Just for you. He he scratches his chin and chuckles and really.
I think that's what it was called.
You don't go far. And he stands, More words. Lifts his axe, and then he steps around the desk and will start to make his way towards past you and out towards the door leading onto the deck.
Okay. Does he leave me alone in the room?
I mean, he's turning his back to you. He's not going to be further than 10 feet away from
Okay.
you.
Never mind, then I'll just stand here.
He opens the door, and as he opens the door, he notices, and you hear outside a bit of a commotion going on as people call to him as Captain. And then he also turns and he looks at Tinker, who has just broken out in what I believe you described to be a Pinocchio-style dance.
Yes, the dance that he does when the scene is I got no strings to hold me down, and he starts like gyrating his body parts not
Anatomically
turning like
correctly.
yeah. So like his hands are spinning in ways that normal hands aren't supposed to. His
You
body
full
is
on
twirling,
emphasis.
but his head is like staying perfectly still.
As this happens, I believe Kip was specifically drawing as much attention to this as possible.
Yep. Kip is pointed towards Tinker and started yelling out to look towards Tinker. He's like making a fool of himself.
As this happens, Tinker doesn't look like Tinker at the moment. Is disguised as the captain of the ship you happen upon, and it has distracted most of the attention away from Electra. However, as the Triton Barbarian lowers the rowboat into the water, you become aware that there are individuals who are looking down upon you. A couple of the crew they are making it known that they have weapons, they have pistols in hand, but they're not aiming them at you or the two other individuals that you have with you. They're glancing down and looking confused, but they're also glancing back, and I'm going to say, Tinker, give me a performance check, and we'll see if it's enough to distract them from whatever the fuck Electra is doing, because she is
I have an
seemingly-
idea.
Okay.
I have an idea if it doesn't work.
So nat 20.
Tell me your idea.
Oh, well, I was going to use my control water and air and cast and like pull up from the water that I'm going into like little droplets and cast fog cloud where they are so that they can't see us anymore.
Okay. So, as that happens, you can absolutely cast a fog cloud, and it suddenly comes up, and you hear a confused sort of, what the f-? And over the side of the ship, almost sort of like a wave comes up and moves over, seemingly to almost crash into the side of the ship, but there's no sway and none of the men impact it, but they sort of pull away ever so slightly and level their guns at nothing, essentially, just looking concerned by this. And as the fog begins to envelop them and they back away quickly, there is an explosion from the other ship, and you all, including just about Electra, will hear someone bellow the word, "Traitor!" And at which point you hear this from inside the captain's quarters, and you see the captain seems to forget that he's supposed to be keeping an eye on you, storms out onto the deck with his axe held in one hand, looks around, looks up at the cavernous difference between the two deck sizes, up towards where most of the crew are currently going through the hold on the other ship, and he looks up to the galley and then looks to the men, and he probably, I'm going to say, turns to his quartermaster, Dakar, and says, "You, get up there. Find." And Dakar nods and begins to rush. He drops sort of like a few trinkets, baubles, a chest overflowing with what looks like pearl necklaces, and a few gold coins scatter out. And there is a lance of energy that suddenly shoots off that deck and just careens over. It punches a very small hole in the sail of the Red Lady. Not a particularly It's not going to completely ruin your ability to sail, but it is a nuisance. And how does everyone react to this?
I'm going to use the excuse to take a look around the captain's quarters and see what their standing orders are, if there are any, or if this is just a go wherever the wind takes us kind of ship.
Roll me an investigation.
I have a +3 on my investigation.
Okie dokie. That is a 10. You are doing fantastically well. You look around, try and find something. You see Captain not big on writing, so there's not a lot of books around, which does mean that the one book that stands out is the only one on the bookshelf. In fact, the only thing that isn't some kind of tankard or bottle that is on the shelf. You go over, you find that it is dusty, heavy, looks like it's made of lots of different pages, and as you lift it out and open it, it appears to be almost like a ring binder that is full of torn scraps, mostly looking to be maps. A lot of them have annotations in Orcish, but big, ugly symbols carved on the page with charcoal, including X's crossing through names of ports, through lists of... You recognize there's lists of names next to some of these ports, and some of these are up and down the western coast of Sidwell, but it looks like most of these have names crossed out, and you can tell their names because they don't translate to Orcish, but everything else you can't really make out what it is.
Probably names of ports that we can't go to. Okay. Or at least can't go to while I'm aboard this ship. I'm going to head out and take a look at the commotion that's going on outside then.
Okay, as this happens, Tinker, you have everyone's attention, but suddenly there is an explosion aboard the other ship. What do you do in this moment?
I'm still manacled.
Yes, you are still manacled.
Did they take my pistols?
I'm gonna say, roll me a sleight of hand, posthumously. There's a slight problem with them searching you. No, I'm gonna say they didn't, and they didn't on the merits that you are disguised with an illusory self, so it would be essentially hidden within the illusion.
Do I see anybody with the keys to said manacles?
You know that the guards, or the deckhand standing next to you, manacled you. You know he probably has his the keys to the manacles on his belt, but you don't see them sort of obviously displayed. They're probably sort of tucked away or upon his.
I'm gonna try to use my thieves' tools to kind of unlock the manacles.
Okay.
So Tinker kind of like reaches into the illusion and he pulls out like some lock picks and he starts trying to unlock with the thieves' tools, and that is, let's see, 14.
On a 14, you reach in trying to figure out the lock on these, and you realize pretty quickly that even though you are having to do this at a difficult angle, given the fact that you don't really have to abide by the rules of being anatomically correct, you can rotate your wrist in strange ways, your elbows can fold ambidextrously, and you pull your arms up and begin to tinker very quickly, and it's almost embarrassing how easy it is to pop these free. You don't have to sort of even particularly struggle. It's something you can do quite casually. You guys need better manacles. These are shittily made, as is a lot of the equipment on this ship.
Tinker then pulls out his pistol and he points it at somebody and fires at the leg.
you're going to shoot a random person. Roll me. I'll give you advantage. Roll me to hit.
Okay. Let's see. Still getting used to roll 20. Wow. Okay. 9. Weird.
Okay. At advantage, 9?
Yeah.
Damn. Okay, you reach out with your pistol, pull the trigger. There is a explosion that happens right beside you, Kip, and suddenly part of the deck cracks, and right by this guy's foot, missing him by maybe half a foot. And it kicks up at sort of a wash of splinters. And he still staggers away from it, maybe even potentially mildly hurt, but it's, you fire into the deck. And at that point, there's a real mixture of confusion about what's going on. People look around. The captain, however, is going to turn, look at you, and raise his axe. But before we get to that, Kip, what are you doing?
Kip first wants to determine where everyone's attention is. Is some of the attention on the explosion, or on Tinker, or on the fog cloud?
A lot of people are torn in different directions. Most people were looking at Tinker, and then the captain ordered people onto the deck after the explosion. So now it's a pretty even split, and most people seem to have forgotten about Elektra, other than the two guys who were looking out for her. They're sort of still trying to peer down, but they seem... You know enough to know most sailors are quite superstitious, certainly on this crew, so... when a random mist fog cloud suddenly creeps up on the side of the ship, they back the hell away from that.
Okay. So Electra's probably safe. I guess it's too hard to determine from right here what the explosion was on the other ship.
You can roll me a... Roll me a straight wisdom.
Okay, and if Kip would have to climb up something to see on there, he would do that. Wisdom, sure. A 6.
You can't tell just by the sound, but you can absolutely climb up the rigging or run up the gangplank if you want. Depends on if you want to be on deck with it or if you just want to climb up your master so you're even level with the other deck.
Yeah, Kip will just climb instead of boarding the other ship.
Okay, Kip, it's easy enough. I'm not going to make you roll a check. You clamber your way up, and you see on the other deck, there are a lot of people who have drawn weapons. They seem to be surrounding two individuals. The two individuals in particular are Monroe, the ship's first mate, and Anvil, who is brother to Tinker. They seem to be squaring off against each other. However, everyone has started to surround them, and they both have a lot of guns pointed at them. You're not entirely sure what's going on, but it looks like they might be about to have a fight, or maybe just had a fight, and if everyone is telling them to quieten down or pack it in. But it looks very tense. There's a lot of shouting. It's hard to make out any of the conversation from over here.
Alright. Kip would climb down and want to go as fast as he can over to where that all is transpiring. Okay,
as you go to start climbing down, you hear Tinker's gun go off. And see below that the captain, who you know is disguised as... You okay?
I'm fine.
The captain, who he is disguised as, draws the gun, fires at one of the other crewmates, and you see the captain turns, raises his axe, not knowing it's Tinker, and just seeing someone has opened fire on one of his crew. Doesn't recognize you for a moment, Tinker, because he hasn't actually met this guy yet. And seems to make up his mind pretty quickly that whoever you are, you're trouble, and he's going to take a swing at you.
Okay.
As this happens, let me just go. It's gonna go for a. Where are we? Does a mighty 12 hit you?
A mighty 12 does not hit me.
He pulls the axe overhead. Oh, it is actually a 13.
A mighty 13 still does not hurt me.
Okay, and it is a 13 because you upgraded his axe temporarily.
Mm.
So he brings the axe overhead, swings down, and narrowly misses you. Like, you manage to step back just in time. If your hands maybe had still been manacled together, might have cut the manacle, might have taken your hand off, but you sort of like move your hands either side, take a step back, and it cracks down into the deck right in front of you, splitting the wood.
Tinker reloads because I have proficiency in firearms.
You are the only, I was going to say, I think you're the only person who has firearms proficiency.
And he points it at the captain and he says, "Look at me. I'm captain now."
You're not even dropping the disguise. You are openly trying to take over the ship as the other guy disguised as. Okay, roll me an intimidation check.
Okay, let's see how this works. He is not very intimidating. 16.
Gonna make it just a simple. The captain wrenches the axe up. You level the firearm at him. You hear a slight. He takes a step back, and as he does, a few of the deck hands step up, and you can see like them ready to draw pistols. Like, haven't actually done it yet because you do have a gun at the captain's head, but he looks at you and whole crew, me, you alone.
Fine. He says as he holds the gun, he goes, "Fine."
You don't lower the gun?
No. Did he just challenged me to a one-on-one duel? Yeah, so, but like he's gonna keep the gun on him.
He chuckles, takes a few steps back, glances, like, for a moment, does completely forget about you and looks up onto the other deck. Kip, you see all of this happen. Electra, you kind of hear some commotions going on, but by this point, you feel the water kiss the bottom of your rowboat, and you push away from the side of the ship in like complete impenetrable fog between you and the where most people are looking. Can't even see the crow's nest. The actual captain, whose doppelganger is currently challenging Captain Kyber to the entire command of everything at the moment, looks terrified and is just cradling his daughter and looks to you and says, You can get us away, yes?
Yes. You need to row a bit. And I kind of hand the rows to him. And then I jump in the water and put my hands on the boat. And I want to just kick my little feet and push him out.
Okay, roll me an athletics check.
You got this.
I believe in you.
This is the I'm going to roll a 1 probably. Wow. There.
Damn! That is a solid 23.
Nice.
Okay, I'm
And I have a swimming speed of like 30, I think.
yeah. So you are doing like almost all the work here because he does not really know much about. He's not, it's not that he doesn't really know how to row. He just doesn't have the physical strength. He's trying desperately to paddle, but most of it, like, he's kind of like, as he puts the oars in the water, the speed you are pushing it as a Triton's very accustomed to being in the water. It's basically he just lowers the oar into the water close to him, and the drag just makes them go back. It's not really him. It's almost like if you've ever pedaled too fast and then put your feet back on the pedals and they start going, like, start moving your legs involuntarily. It's almost like that. He's trying real hard, but you start making steady progress. The water is not particularly forgiving, but it's not something that you necessarily have anything to worry about. But you occasionally hear him call out something, but mostly like your head will be partially underwater as you're pushing. Can Tritons breathe underwater?
Yes.
Yes. In which case, no problems whatsoever. Just push on. But you only catch snippets. But it sounds like he keeps looking back at the commotion and is just like telling his daughter, "Don't look. Just keep your head down." And they can't shoot us from here. He says, probably lying. I mean, they could absolutely shoot you from here. Not very well, but. Keeps rowing as fast as he can. You start to make your ways away, and it's not so bad. Kip, as you land back on the deck, you see that Tinker has apparently challenged the captain to a one-on-one duel, and the captain is inviting him to fight him one-on-one on the deck.
Kip is running across to the other ship, to that group of individuals over there.
Okay. You spend your movement to get up there, and as you get on board, most of the crew is actually up here. None of them are particularly aware of what is going on down there. No one seems to understand. People, maybe like one or two have looked over and seen there's a commotion going on down there, but they have their own shit to deal with. When you get up, you get close enough to hear Monroe basically saying, "He fucking tried to kill me. Point your guns at him!" And Anvil is just, nope. It was just he's a witch, traitor. Trying to take the ship for himself. And there's sort of like a commotion. People aren't really sure what's going on. You can see now that the energy came from Monroe's hand. He's one of the only magic casters it's publicly known about on the boat, and people have been a little bit wary about him before. And you see a bolt of Eldritch energy like ready in his hand. Anvil is also armed. You can see on the floor, looks like a sword, like a cutlass that has been bent 90 degrees midway down, and you see Anvil's clamp-like hand snapping shut, sort of aggressively, and in the other hand he holds a blade of his own. This is your commotion that you come up into.
Right. Kip will run over. Kind of like trying to process all what's going on, and be like, "Hey, we got bigger problems on the other ship right now. We got this fucking death fog kind of thing coming up. I don't know what it is. And then the captain is trying to, I don't know, get into a fight or something. Y'all should come on."
Roll me a persuasion check, as the guys sort of. No one really seems to know who's in charge at this point, because usually Monroe would be, or the captain would be, but Monroe's one of them and the captain isn't here. A couple of them sort of 16. Glance over to you on a 16 and, what are you talking about? What? The captain? Who the fuck's he fighting?
I don't know, just come on.
They gather some of the guys, and most of them sort of move towards you guys. A few of them stand there, still like lower their guns slightly and look confused over seem curious to what's going on and not really sure if this bout has been settled yet, decide to stick around. There's only 3 or 4 of them. They don't actually point guns at them anymore. Anvil is just like, yeah, Captain, and tries to turn away, and Monroe lets the energy in his hand fizzle out for a moment and looks around slightly perplexed, but doesn't go to follow you guys. Instead, he makes his way to the captain's quarters on the galley, as everyone else sort of streams off in that direction.
Who does?
So Monroe, the
Okay.
is heading to the captain's quarters on the galley. Everyone else is going down onto the smaller ship to see what the fuck is going on, including Anvil, who's sort of whistling in that very incognito way.
Kip will go to follow after Monroe, and when it's like everyone else is dispersed, we'll try to go to talk to him.
Okay. You follow him in. We'll get to that in just a second, but the captain's quarters are currently unoccupied and there's a lot of commotion and distraction going on outside. What is our new Elven Wizard doing?
I'm just gonna shut the door while all of this is going on because I haven't really attached myself to any of the crew one way or another, and the main goal in my head right now is to survive. So I close the door, backing myself out of this situation entirely, and also giving me a better chance to rummage around the captain's quarters to look for gold, to look for poison, to look for weapons, to look for spellbooks, to look for anything that might be of value, to look for a safe, anything like that.
Okay. You roll me another investigation. It's a plus.
+3 on my investigation.
Okay. 15. Having the opportunity now to think clearly, you notice that there's only one room that leads out of here, which looks to be the captain's private quarters. And opening it up, inside you see, instead of a bed, there looks to be maybe what smells like hay or something like that on the floor, with a huge, old, very, very old, maybe some kind of cow pelt or something like that lying over it, and then a few ragged sheets. It smells rancid in here.
Oh, I pull my shirt up over my face.
The culprit seems to be a large bucket that is heavily stained right beside the bed.
Oh,
But there
come
is
on.
what looks to be a chest.
Hmm.
The chest is not locked.
Right.
Instead, there is what looks to be a metal bar that has been slotted through where a lock would usually go, and it has been bent by sheer strength into sort of a loop.
Well, that's one way to do it.
You don't have much in the way of locks, but if you're the only one who's strong enough to unbend the metal, you're okay.
So I take a look at my character sheet and see what my strength. Nope. It's an 8, so.
I mean, there's more than one way to skin a cat.
I
but,
was just thinking that, and all that commotion is going on out there. I do not even have a dagger. Nope. I am not going to be able to bend that bar open. I do not have a crowbar either. That's going to have to wait for another day. At least I know. I wonder if I could get that Tinkerbot thing to help me. Just convince him that he needs something. Yeah, that's it. Okay. Anything else besides the chest?
in here, there is what looks to be a large. There's like maybe 6 nails that have been hammered into the wall, all at different heights, different spaces apart, and from them hang items of clothing. They all look very old, very tattered.
Okay, well, this is about all I can stand the smell of as I'm quickly rummaging through everything, realizing I'm not getting that chest open without it being extremely obvious that it was me. And I will walk out of this room, closing the door behind me, taking in a relieving breath of fresh air,
fresh stale ale,
fresh
and
stale air that is not
damp and wet, and but it's
yeah.
not that.
It's not a chamber pot. And then I'm going to crack open the door to the outside again and see how everything has begun escalating out here. This ship has issues. I've been here for maybe a day or two, and there already seems to be a mutiny. They have no idea where they're going. This place is in perfect chaotic disarray.
Maybe 4 hours.
Okay, 4 hours.
Not
okay.
been long.
Okay. So, with that in mind, I'm going to keep observing, but I'm going to kind of lean casually on the captain's doors with a little bit of a half smile on my face as I just try to see how all of this is going to unfold. I'm very tempted to get into the fray and get myself directly involved, but I haven't really sized up who's going to win this situation yet, and I want to be on the winning side.
That seems like a fair.
Can I get an insight to the
give me an
situation?
insight.
I'm gonna just manually roll this here, and that's a 12 for my insight.
Okay. It seems a little tense. You see a lot of hostility as you crack the door open. You see, it looks like the individual who you would recognize as the captain from the other ship, who you weren't aware was alive, is on deck. You can see hanging from one of his...
Wait, the captain from my original ship is alive and on deck?
Yes. He is standing there with manacle hanging from one wrist, his other hand free of it, has leveled a pistol at the captain of this ship who you were just conversing with, and both of them are moving into the center of the deck to be surrounded by individuals in what looks to be a grand melee kind of fight. It looks like they're going to be fighting, duking it out, the two of them. Everyone else is backing away from this.
Okay, I am going to take the role of a closer observer, because I'm assuming like teenage school fight style, like ring, people start to chant like fight,
Cheering.
fight. Okay, I'll be on the outside, kind of peeking in between people's heads.
Roll me a stealth check. And you slip your way out. It's not too...
That's a 22.
Okay. You slip your way out the door and mingle effortlessly as you are not the center of attention right now. As long as you stay at the back, no one's going to bat an eyelid. You do, however, as you slip your way out towards the edge, hear something odd off to one side. You glance out and you see what looks to be a rowboat departing. It's already quite a ways away. It's already shrinking. You can see there are two individuals and what looks to be maybe a fish, some kind of large sea creature seems to be following it, and after a few moments you realize actually it's not a fish, it's someone in the water. It's just all you can see is sort of the foam from their feet kicking, but it looks like they're pushing it.
How very odd.
Inside, you just see what look to be two cloaked individuals who are hunkered down, one growing, one much smaller.
Well, they're leaving the current situation. I kind of toy with an idea of capsizing their boat, but...
They're already pretty far away.
Yeah.
You probably struggle with most of your spells. Easily over 100 feet.
Well, if they're gone, and they're no longer my problem. So I'll keep an eye on the fight in the center of the ring here.
Okay. Tinker, he looks to you, holds his arms wide open, holding the axe close to the head, grinning. It's difficult for him to muster a grin with his half-shattered, barely functioning jawbone, but he manages more of a grimace of teeth. Looks to you, chuckles, and gives you a come and have a go kind of gesture.
Tinker, is he's going to, while holding the pistol, he's going to reach in to his jacket and he's going to pull out a mirror. And he's going to look at himself in the mirror, give him a wink, maybe a smoochy face, and he's going to cast Sanctuary on himself.
Okay.
And so Sanctuary, I ward a creature within range against attack until the spell ends, which is 1 minute. Any creature who targets the warded creature with an attack or a harmful spell must make a Wisdom saving throw. On a failed save, the creature must choose a new target or lose the attack or spell. This spell doesn't protect the warded creature from area effects.
No.
So he casts Sanctuary on him. He stows his pistol and he takes like a Morpheus stance, and he
Oh no.
it's like bring it on.
He looks at roll. You know what? Roll me just a sheer performance, because the crew are not expecting this. As you holster your pistol, there's sort of a murmur that ripples through the crew.
7.
They look and they burst out into laughter, and the captain throws his head back, roars something between amusement and a challenge, and then takes 2 huge, heavy strides towards you, lifts the axe up, jumps, like full on into the air, brings it hand over hand, and will roll a Wisdom saving throw. So that is a natural 20 for a 19.
That is fine. Because I got a reaction. I'll just cast
That's okay.
shield.
That's
Fine.
So he rolls a nat 20, but it's a 19. But it's not a success. Even at negative 1.
He successes. Unless you,
Okay.
what's your Wisdom saving?
Because well, no, if I
anything.
cast shield on myself as my reaction, it increases my AC plus 5, which puts it at 20.
Oh, he hasn't rolled to hit you yet. That's just a natural
Oh,
20
okay, yeah.
to beat the Wisdom saving throw. So yes,
Yeah, so he beat
he will roll. That's an 8. You don't need to cast shield.
Okay.
Actually,
I got flipped up.
it would have been. Sorry, it would have actually been a 22 because this was a reckless attack, and that seems super cheeky, but that's why he's throwing himself into the air. So does a 22 hit you?
I'll take it. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm gonna use the reaction right now.
He's gonna hit you, however. Wow. Minimum damage 4. Potential 15 damage. You take 4 slashing damage. You have advantage against him. As he's recklessly attacked you.
Who is attacking?
The captain is attacking. The old captain of the ship you have been taken onto,
Okay.
is attacking the person that looks like to
But
you.
as far as I'm
Yeah.
concerned, okay. This is not good.
This is a whole bunch of shenanigans.
This is bad.
Tinker he's going to dance around this captain. He's going to do a series of flips and jumps, but he's not going to attack. He's going to hold any attack action he has, but he's just going to use a movement to just jump around and just kind of, I guess, make it look like he's going to attack, but he's not. Because if I attack, I lose Sanctuary.
Okay. He's going to fly into a rage at this point and make another Wisdom saving throw. That's a 10. I'm presuming that doesn't...
Spell DC 14.
Okay. I'm gonna make another wisdom check for him. He does not decide to randomly cut down one of his crewmates, but he is quickly running out of patience as you refuse to actually fight him, skipping around. You are being booed by everyone on board because you are not actually
I will
fighting.
join in that booing as well because as far as I'm concerned, is the old captain and I want him to die.
In which case, I guess he'll make another wisdom saving throw to try and... That's a 6. And this time, he brings his axe overhead, slams it down, you sidestep eagerly, like almost pirouetting past him. And he brings the axe up, turns and looks at you, goes to swing at you, and then you see like him recoil and almost like something flashes in his face. He shakes his head and looks around confused, and one of the guys in the crew steps forward and, "You okay, Captain?" And then the captain is going to full on swing at this guy. As this time he's going to choose, you know what? Fuck it. I'm not losing my attack. That is a dirty 20. And that is 1d. That is, you watch as he takes this guy across the collarbone, sinks the axe through him, and it doesn't come out cleanly, and the guy's top section is flung into the side of the deck, and the rest of him slams into the floor. And that cheering goes to, "Hey!" to, "Whoa!" and almost goes quiet as people all take a good 3 or 4 paces back and reach for weapons, looking pretty fucking terrified at this. You still bouncing?
Oh, yeah, Tinker takes this.
Yeah, I see what you're doing now. Very clever. Very
kind
clever.
of, he signs, "I pity," that towards the person who just got cut down. Pity. And he looks at everyone and says, "I'm captain now."
Roll me a persuasion check. As the captain, if you're not attacking, is going to rush you again.
15.
Suddenly, the mood has dramatically shifted. It grows quiet and seemingly cold on deck. A lot of people cold sweat, clammy hands, reaching for weapons, looking very afraid. You notice that even the captain's quartermaster, Dakar, the dwarf, usually up for a fight at any opportunity, finds the captain raging on deck and is suddenly very conscious he's not fully clad in his armor, only armed with a few axes, and holds his men up on the gangplank, interrupting everyone from coming down.
Dungeon Master, may I? At this point, I'm assuming that I see him signing, correct?
Yeah.
My character is of a
You can
fairly
roll me an
decent
investigation. You can roll me an
intelligence.
investigation check. What's the spell save for your disguise spell?
It would be my spell DC, which is 14.
Okay.
I don't get advantage on that because that was my old captain, and I know that he didn't know fuck all about sign language, and I also have seen the Tinkerbot use sign language, or the...
I'm gonna
Oh,
call
would
high
I-
and low. Call high
Okay.
and low. I'm
Hi.
gonna do D100.
Totally understand if you say no, but...
48 by 2. You missed out. No.
Okay.
I'd say you probably put it together, but not fast enough to intervene in this.
Okay.
As Captain is again going to.
I'm just trying to make sure I don't attack Zippy out of nowhere. Trying to avoid
I'm
the
trying to
character
encourage you to attack.
No.
Zippy because I want.
No, not like this.
Oh wait, I need to make a wisdom save first. So -1. God, you've got him on the wisdom. That is a 1, a dirty 1, not a natural 1. A dirty 1, a 2. So still recklessly attacking, losing his patient. You see him swing for another crewmate. This time, the crew member, they all realize suddenly they're fair game, backs up and actually throws himself over the edge of the ship. He holds onto the rigging, but he throws himself off the ship and just hangs to the edge, and the edge of the ship just splinters. The rail comes apart as the axe comes through it, and he turns and looks at you, and he's going to just this time try and throw his axe at you. So does 16 beat your?
It beats it by 2, so he can maintain his attack.
Okay, this is at disadvantage. He's going to reckless to make it straight, but he only gets a +3 because it's not a throwing weapon. But just absolutely infuriated, takes a two-handed, double-headed great axe and throws it end over end. That is a natural 1. That is a natural 1. He throws it, and it buries itself in the mast of the ship, the main mast, and it doesn't shatter the mast, but it damages it, and you see about 6 different ropes snap free, and the rigging just suddenly goes loose. You see the sails suddenly go taut and then slacken entirely. It's a mess. And he is just incredibly angry, furious, blood-red eyes. What do you do, Tinker?
He's over by the edge of the boat, right?
He's about 5 foot from the edge, and he's a big fella.
Tinker is going to remove his illusion.
There are also men in front, on the other side of him, so be aware that he might not go on his own. But you drop your illusion.
And then he holds up his right hand, which kind of starts pulsating and clicking and starts causing static electricity to start to build and build and build, and hair. If anybody's standing kind of close to Tinker, their hairs will start to stand on end, and he's going to run at the captain, and he's going to cast Thunderwave.
Okay. Do you have any way of
at level 2?
Do you have any way of ensuring only certain people get hit by this?
Let's see. It says a creature in a 15-foot cube originating from you must make a Constitution saving throw. So no.
Okay. Starting off for the captain. Con saving throw. He has a. So it's a plus. With a +5, he rolls an 8. That is not enough. That is a 13 in total. However, let me just quickly roll for the other shipmates, because he's not alone standing there. They are also not enough with an 11. So, what does this look like?
Well, as he comes down onto the ground with his supercharged fist, the loud thunderous boom is emitted, and there's just this wave of force kind of pushes everybody who fails 10 feet away, which makes the captain fall into the water.
It is not just the captain. Him and 3 other crewmates are flung to the edge. The other crewmates hit the edge, the rail, and somersault off the edge. The captain breaks the rail, smashes through. It's only a section maybe 5 foot wide because it's in posts, but that section smashed to oblivion, and he pinwheels off the deck. For a fraction of a moment, we follow the captain down as he falls end over end, catches a slight glimpse at, that's my fucking rowboat, and then splashes into the ground, into the water, and is going to start sinking. That is where we are right in this second. You see this happen and see Tinker has revealed himself, and the crew suddenly look very confused about. Quite a few of them rush over, and maybe sort of 10, 15 of them rush over to the edge and look overboard, sort of gasps, but no one rushes over to that side to grab rope or anything like that. There is also one other thing. You don't have a boat on this side. You don't have a rowboat. Electra has literally stolen the rowboat, so you can't even lower a boat to him.
Well,
Tinker pulls out the pistol and fires in the air to get all eyes on him.
Seagull
And he
falls
says-
dead on deck.
He goes over to the seagull and he's like, no.
Oh no!
I'm sorry. Sorry. He when all eyes are on him, he says, "I'm captain now. Everyone help them in the water or in the ocean."
Roll me. I'm gonna say at disadvantage. Roll me a persuasion check.
Okay.
Can I go like 3 cheers for the new captain? And...
Okay, before you roll your check, roll me a performance check.
Okay, because I'm on board with this. That's a 4.
That's a 4.
That
At
sounds-
disadvantage, roll me a persuasion check,
I
as you are the only person to admit this, and go,
14.
Rolling so well today.
Yeah, pretty high.
there's quite clearly an uneasy look amongst the crew as people are sort of like looking around at each other like, I mean, you okay with this? Like, I'm not really upset. Kind of like, are we allowed to be okay with this? Is this a thing? What about the people who are over at the edge? At least 5 of them look around, pissed off that no one is helping, grab rope and begin to throw a length of rope down the side of the hull and reach down. How much damage was it in total? It was a total of...
It was 14 thunder damage.
Okay. They start to lift out. At least one of them is dead and sunken. The captain isn't dead. He isn't unconscious. He is clawing his way back to the surface. He will make it comes up, and now the crew are looking like they haven't quite lowered the rope within his grasp, and he's scratching at the hull, still snarling with anger. And they're trying to, and around him, you sort of would be able to see if you look over the edge that they are moving their way over from, the 2 crewmates who were knocked into are still alive, are limping or sort of like doggy paddling their way clear of the captain's raving and thrashing. He's quite a heavy fella. He doesn't do particularly well in the water, so he's still managing, but he's also very fucking hurt. At the moment, no one seems to be doing anything unless anyone explicitly tells them to. It looks like they might just sort of be like, oh no, like we're trying to reach you, but I can't, and just let him sit.
Tinker goes over to the edge of the boat and looks down at Kyber, and he says, "Sorry. You say, I'm captain."
Say captain or I'm gonna let you drown. That's cool.
At disadvantage. He tries to, you've seen the captain in a rage before. You almost see the fury in his eyes, and having given up his one weapon that he came out to the deck with, he does the only thing his furious, refusing to calm down brain can comprehend. He tries to punch a hole in the side of the ship.
Oh.
He just punches it and pushes him further away from the ship, and then feebly starts trying to claw at the edge, not finding a purchase. If he had any clear head at the moment, he could potentially swim around the ship. There are ways onto the ship. There are things cut into the side of the ship. But he is just looking up at you and occasionally taking in water, gargling in fury. And then it's just his hands above the surface of the water as a wave comes. And then not even that.
Tinker grabs the rope out of one of the deckhands and he ties it around his waist as a lifeline. He jumps into the water.
while they hold on to it, you watch this as Electra, as you look back, you've got them, like, they're definitely out of range of the ship, and you've heard a whole bunch of commotion going on board. It looks like none of your crew are particularly in a position to pursue them at the moment. It sounds like they've got their own commotions. You can see something's going on with the sails, and at this point they're being carried kind of in by the tide. The waves are on their side, and he's started to get the hang and rhythm of rowing. You could probably let them go at this point.
Okay, I will sort of pull myself back up on the boat. Say, how do you feel? Can you do it your own?
He nods and yes, thank you. And sort of cradles his daughter's head and looks at you, like, quite clearly, tears in his eyes. He looks exhausted, but like you see that determination in his eyes.
I smile at him. I say, you two are okay. And I'll like back off the boat and push it, and then I will cast Gust of Wind. Oh.
He reaches out to you real quick as you do, and just says, "Don't eat the food. Don't eat any of the food."
Okay.
And he begins to.
Yeah, I'll cast Gust of Wind to try to give him another burst.
You do so.
Like
the boat shoots out. Yeah, you just push away, and it. As the laws of physics, it pushes you back as well. The two of you shoot off in opposite directions as you start to. You've got like a dash. You've got like a 60-foot of movement. And you in water.
Yeah, I'll just like mermaid like legs, just kind of torpedoing back. Yeah.
You begin to haul ass back towards the ship. You draw up a little closer. Give me a quick perception check.
Cool. I gotta get back into Fantasy Grounds. I'll do it on roll 20 real quick. Perception, you said?
Yeah.
That's gonna be a 4.
You can see some kind of commotion in the water ahead of you by the edge of the ship. You can't really tell what it is. And make your way as close as you can. We'll get to that in a moment. It'll take you a moment to get back. But you do just about catch something pushed off the edge, splash down. Tinker, you dive down into the water. Kip, all of this is going on. Craziness. The captain, all manner of shenanigans. Tinker has finally revealed himself, blew the captain off the edge of the deck, as well as a few crewmates, and now there's a real unease on deck. But you are not aware of any of this, because you have followed Monroe into the captain's quarters. So aside from that, whilst all that is going on, you see Monroe comes in and slumps against the desk in the larger ship, the galley, just massaging his head. And probably doesn't actually hear you come in. You're quiet of foot.
Yeah, Kip goes in and wants to like make it rather quick and urgent. It's like, Monroe, I think it's time. I think we can't really wait until the night time. I think I have to kind of do it now. Captain's fighting with, I think disguise as the other captain, so can't have to do it now, right now.
Tinker's the captain.
Yeah.
Tinker's brother just tried to fucking, I don't know, kill me or something.
That's fucking weird, but we gotta do it now. Like, come on.
Wait, I found this, and he reaches down into what looks like a bag of salvage stuff, and he hands you a something that is actually quite common. It's kind of like a grappling hook. It's not really meant for that. It's usually meant for throwing over to ships if you need to bring yourself alongside them. There's a couple that are tethering the two ships together at the moment, and there's you also use them to sort of like the whole crew will throw them onto a dock or a harbour if you need to pull yourself alongside something to keep the ship moored. But he looks to you and says, We gotta make sure they can't follow us. You reckon you could tear a nice big hole in that sail? The main sail's fucked. We can make good headway.
Yeah, reckon I could do that. Yeah.
He chucks it to you and says, "Have you had a chance to speak to anyone? The cook or the surgeon? Anyone?"
Not really, no. But has to be now. We can convince them after Captain falls. But
All right, let's just do this. You
all right.
guys come on out and just see the tail end of Tinker dropping the illusion and punching the captain off the deck. And there is just a tense silence beneath you. There's about 4 other guys on this ship at the moment with you who look down and look to you guys. One of them comes over and goes, who exactly is in fucking charge at the moment? Monroe just, fuck if I know. Look, tell you what, I need you to start cutting the tether lines over there. We're gonna break the ships apart. And they look confused. And you just fucking do it. And they make their way along. You see them draw small axes, and they begin to cut the ropes as this happens. And he looks to you and says, "We need to get down there." And he makes his way down.
Kip will follow.
You come down onto the deck. You see Tinker just grab a rope and jump over the edge. Tinker, what's your plan?
My plan is to grab Kyber and then pull him up and then have the crew pull both of us out.
Okay. As you try and pull him up, he's doing amazingly well at wisdom saving throws. It's really his strong suit with a -1 in it. He's gonna try and attack you. He's at disadvantage because he can't swim particularly well and punch. So that is a 5. He just flounders at you, seemingly still bent on this blood rage that you've sent him into by taunting him, humiliating him, and trying to best him.
As he swipes to attack me, I'm going to bring my manacle and try to whip it around his wrist to kind of bind us together a little bit.
As you reach out and try and sort of like make an improv. On a 15 snap shut round him, and you feel your arm jerked. If you were a human, possibly would have pulled it, dislocated it. But you are sort of swept through the water, and the crew are going to try and pull you and Kyber out of the water. You can see now that his face is already bruised. You can see one of his eyes is swollen shut. Looks like he knocked out one of his teeth. You can see sort of like the bloody root of it. And as you start trying to pull him out, he's going to make one last roll. You see almost up close a mixture of panic, fear, anger, embarrassment, humiliation, those sorts of things. He's getting on. He's an old orc, and he was just bested by you. He lost his temper, maybe lost the crew, he doesn't know, as you're pulling him up, and suddenly the rage ends, and he seems almost to slump. He's still conscious, but he's just drawing deep, heaving breaths. He's also nearly, like, partially half drowned at this point. And the crew start hoisting him up.
Do we get to the boat? Are we back on board?
Yeah, nothing else. You, as you're being pulled up, you see Electra reach the edge of the hull, and you see what looks like the captain injured, being hoisted up by Tinker, who is like manacled to him, and just sort of like dangling from his arm. So almost looks like a fish or like a huge whale that's been harpooned and is being hoisted up the side of the ship. And you can see there's some damage to the sail. Some of the rigging's been cut loose. Bits of wood are floating in the water. And you can see, like, you wouldn't see blood because it would have already dispersed, but you can see a body floating a short ways away, face down, unmoving, and two other crew members towards the front end of the ship, towards the prow, who are climbing their way out, looking very injured and helping each other out, trying to get up the side of the ship. You've no idea what's going on.
Yeah, I swim over to the body and I flip them and see and check on them.
You flip him over, and as you do, you realize his neck is twisted at an unnatural angle, not straight up, almost sharply turns at a good 30 degrees and doesn't rest properly on the shoulders, the eyes open and vacant, the mouth full of water and not spitting it out. You recognize him as a crew member. No one of particular import. He's a deckhand, but it looks like his neck was broken.
Jeez. I'll let him go, and I'll push him away from me a bit, and I'll swim back to the boat and kind of pull out my trident and use it to, like, climb up the boat, like stabbing it into the side and pulling myself up.
No one has any respect for this ship. You stab your way into the ship.
The whole show is named after this ship, and we're just destroying it.
Destroying it. You climb your ways up, and I'm going to say, given the fact that you're not having to hoist up and be hoisted up by the crew members and not being weighed down by the captain, Electra and Tinker both get over the edge at the same time. Zephyrus, you see all of this taking place. You see Tinker going after the captain. You see Monroe and the halfling come down, and you see them on the gangplank. You notice that someone is severing connections between the ships, like walking down.
Whoa.
And some of the crew are now, like, it looks like a bit of a mess and no one's really sure who's in charge. And there's a lot of tension on board.
What are we doing? Why would we let go of a perfectly good ship? Let's face it, I say, patting the side of the ship that we're on now. This one isn't exactly amazing. 2 ships is a fleet. Twice the treasure.
You see Monroe makes his way over and grabs a few people, and some people start looking around and then trying to, as quickly and as quietly as they can, move up the gangplank onto the other ship, like they're leaving this behind. And as that happens, Tinker, you see this, Electra, you see this, Kip, you hear that Monroe is basically going over to a few people he's already spoken to and just saying, now, just get on board. We got to get as many across as we can before the car does something stupid or the captain flies into a rage. Go on, fucking move. And they start rushing on up.
If I hear this, I'm heading over to the other ship. Fuck it.
Roll me a perception check.
This place
fact,
is...
You can all roll me a perception check, apart from Kip, who you just hear this, because he's trying to do this quickly and so. Natural one.
Natural one.
You still have a slight ringing in your ears from the thunder wave.
21.
Tinker, you hear this. Monroe getting people to get across onto the much nicer, seaworthy, less fucked up, cursed ship.
Tinker goes and grabs another crewman's pistol, points it to the air, fires it, gets all eyes on him.
For like the third time, Tinker fires a gun in the air.
I have no
decimated.
way of getting everyone's attention.
I'll look over in his direction.
He points at Monroe and he signs, "Capture him."
Okay, I'm
Captain.
Roll me a persuasion check. He's going to try and appeal to them as well.
A nat
That is
one.
a natural one.
Dice are just not with us today, anywhere.
He could fuck this up. He's got a plus. Okay, you do roll a natural 1, but he rolls an 8. So he doesn't beat you. It doesn't do particularly well. No one goes to arrest him. In fact, people look to you a little. You now sort of see a few eyes come towards you aggressively. The captain is like basically half collapsed on the floor, shackled to you. And the quartermaster, Dakar, makes his way over in your direction, looking quite angry, pulling out an axe in the process. And you see a few of his cronies, some of the best armed fighters on the ship, looking over in your direction with pretty ill intent.
Tinker takes the barrel of the pistol and he pokes at the captain, well, the former captain, and he looks at him and says, tell them, capture Monroe. And he points to Monroe.
He looks up, having been pretty heavily beaten and fucked over. He looks up and speaks out, barely manages to capture. Take him. And there's a look around, and a few people look over to Monroe, and he begins to back up the gangplank, and a few people converge towards him. Dakar comes right up to you with the axe. Are you just standing there?
Tinker just kind of looks at the axe, and
I'm gonna hold action for a magic missile if he attacks.
He pulls out a lockpick and he tinkers with his manacle to unlock it. Would you like me to roll Thieves' Tools?
Yeah, roll me a Thieves' Tools. Because nat ones are funny. 27. Fuck. Alright, fuck you. Fuck you, Zippy. You just... clink, and he slumps onto the floor.
He looks at Dakar and he says, I helped. I, Captain now.
He grins at you and... Captain ain't dead. The captain ain't dead.
I say, I, not kill.
He lifts the axe.
I wouldn't.
Looks down at the captain. Raises it clearly over the orc's head.
I shrug.
He brings it down, and you watch as the axe buries itself.
Tinker's gonna try to jump and put his metal arm.
Okay.
And tries to block it.
I'll let you roll a dex against his dex. He's not actually that dexterous.
Dex saving throw? Or just
dex,
straight dex?
Straight dex.
19.
That is a 3 versus a 19. You can just intercede. You can just take it. I'll let you sort of as you beat him so well, basically the edge of the hilt of the axe hits against your arm instead of the blade. It doesn't do any damage to you, but you end it. This killing blow coming down on him. Electra, you see this going on board. Is the captain is apparently not really sure. Dakar looks like he's trying to execute him. Tinker is there. It's all a bit of a confusing mess.
Do I see Quick Kip?
You see Quick
Or is he on the other boat?
No, he's down here. Unless would you have made your way back onto the other ship?
I would have went onto this ship with Monroe when he walked down, and then would be trying to climb up to the top mast of the sail. So maybe currently climbing.
Kip's probably like almost at the top of the crossbeam for the main sail.
She's gonna ask him like, "What the fuck is happening?" God
damn it.
I see Monroe being cornered though, right?
He's not being cornered, he's being pushed up the gangplank. He gets most of the way up, and then one of the other guys hits upon the smart idea of, instead of following him, reaches down for the gangplank, and Monroe stops. He's now most of the way to the other ship, but not quite close enough, and there is a very real possibility that they could, if two of them lift the gangplank hard enough, he might go in the drink.
Yeah, no, I'm gonna go to the guy trying to lift the gangplank, and I want to grab him by like the scruff of his neck, like a cat.
Roll me a straight athletics check. I'll give you advantages. There's no way he's expecting to be grabbed from behind.
Holy shit.
Okay.
My rippling muscle. I just want to grab him and yank him off of that.
Monroe very ungracefully and unceremoniously throws himself backwards clear of the gangplank and disappears because he's higher up on the other deck. But you throw this guy to one side like he's nothing, and he just sort of like scampers away from you like a toddler who's just remembered that dad can pick him up with one hand.
So Monroe's safe. He's on the Lady Death
Yeah.
protest.
Mhm.
Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna keep examining whatever's happening with Tinker, and I guess because I think Electra's really confused by what Tinker's trying to do. How he's like hurting the captain but not killing the captain, but trying to be the captain, but also like she's very confused. So she's gonna keep watching, but like she's gonna stay by the gangplank, like guarding the other boat.
There is a loud, dull thud as you take the haft of the axe on your arm, Tinker.
Tinker's going to take the axe and he's going to toss it into the ocean.
Roll me an athletics check. He's still holding on to it. If you wanna take that axe from him.
Let's see. 13.
You might do.
Still rolling well today.
It's a 17. You both have the axe in hand.
So we're stalemating, and Tinker looks into the orc's eyes, and then something happens in Tinker, and Tinker's eyes glow red, kind of like Iron Giant when he goes kill mode.
You activate instant kill.
No, I don't activate instinct kill,
Okay,
but his eyes
okay.
flash red.
Okay, right. Is there any other?
That's me. Hang on. There we go.
Is there anything else that happens, or is it just an effect of your eyes glowing red?
Just Tinker has if they're stalemating, so Tinker would have both hands on the axe, so Tinker can't talk because his hands are preoccupied.
Okay. As he is an incredibly superstitious individual. Okay, I'll allow you, as he doesn't understand the significance of this, to roll an intimidation check. Because you are a weird thing that he doesn't understand. On a 5, you are possibly going to be the new anchor adorning his brand new ship. He looks at you, and he's going to try and sort of like wrench the axe away, and it looks like a fight might break out between these two. Whether or not Tinker is on board for this fight, up for this fight.
Where's Anvil?
Anvil is probably not too far away watching this happen. He would have come down onto the ship when he got clear of Monroe and watched the fight happen with some curiosity. In fact, he probably helped. He's probably one of the reasons you're still on board is because he helped haul you up. So he's probably just finished tidying the rope away very neatly, putting it away, and has made his way over to you. It is currently, as no one else has sided with either Dakar or Tinker, it is about 5 people on Dakar's side, including himself and Tinker and his brother, against. No one else seems to be willing to put anyone up in this fight. If anyone's feeling like gambling or betting.
I look over at Anvil, and I kind of like shift my eyes, and I start clicking the gears in my throat to make it sound like a clucking sound, which is the sound of chicken.
He gets that. The instruction you gave him was to try and take out Monroe.
And then he looks and he gestures
To Dakar?
to Dakar and makes
okay.
more clicking sounds.
Okay. He readies himself for potentially a fight. Is anyone else picking a side?
No, I am
Elfin's like,
literally
"No."
so confused as to what the fuck is going on, and I'm just gonna sit and wait and see how this plays out.
Electro,
Yeah, same.
picking a-
No, because I mean, if anything, I was more convinced to be on Monroe's side with Kip, and I think that she doesn't like the captain. She doesn't like Dakar. So I guess by proxy, she's on Tinker's side, but she's confused by what he's trying to do. So she's not gonna actively.
You feel like the tension in your arm lock. Tinker, he tenses his arm. Kip.
Yeah, whatever
You
point
reach
it
the top
reaches
and
the
you,
top,
Yeah.
he digs in a bit of a hole with the grappling hook, and then dagger on the other one, and just rides down the sail, cutting at 2 points of the sail.
Roll me an acrobatics check.
All right. 14.
Tension all about. And Electra, you're the first one to hear this almighty tearing sound. And suddenly you look up, and Kip is descending towards you. He's not falling as fast as he should be. He has what looks to be a grappling hook in one hand and a knife in the other hand, and there is a huge slash down the mainsail that is just tearing its way down. Tinky, you can see this over Dakar's shoulder, but Dakar has to turn slightly. At that point, your brother is going to seize the opportunity as you told him to do a thing and is going to try and belt him.
So
in the
our
face.
ship now has a huge hole in the mainsail.
Yes. The pirate ship now has a huge hole in the mainsail.
Can I look up at Quick Kip and just give him a...
He can't.
What the fuck?
He can't see you because he's got his back to
Okay.
everyone, but he slides down.
Okay, well, in his general direction, I still just go, what the fuck?
And suddenly Anvil steps forward and he just spins his arm on the shoulder joint and brings the hammer-like clamp down on the back of Dakar's head. And Dakar's head snaps back, eyes roll, and let's see how badly he fucks him up if that is a natural 20.
I feel like I would probably stay close enough to Electra at this point. I think they've all been drinking seawater.
I think there's too much testosterone on this boat. And I
She
say that
says
as
to the two beings that don't have testicles.
I start crossing to the other boat because I'm not gonna stay on the boat with the broken sail.
You
Yeah, that's
start-
my thought. I'm following you.
Yeah, let's go to the other boat.
Bye.
A few other people start making their way on board under the pretense of taking Monroe captive. Kip, you land, and a few people look at you like, what the fuck?
Kip just runs to the other boat as fast as he can after he falls.
As you take your dash across, you, Electra, Zephyrus, make your way over to the other boat with some pretty pissed off other crewmates you come across. Other people from below decks are finally deciding that enough is enough and have come up above deck. You see the ship's cook, who is a towering blue dragonborn who mostly stays below deck because he does not float particularly well, comes up and he looks around. His name is Vazal, and he generally also knows that most people find him a little bit weird, like some kind of sea monster. In fact, Electra, he's probably the only person on board that gets more shit for being so sea creature-y like, because he is a blue dragonborn. But he comes up and looks around a little confused and starts to make his way over. You see the ship's surgeon as well, who you all briefly met, who is nicknamed Murky, makes his way in that direction as well as quite a few other members of the crew wanting to be off the ship with the torn sail. And there's not a whole lot of agreement as what's going on.
Actually, be right back, I say, kind of patting Electra. Maybe actually you want to come with me. The
Tinker.
captain left his chest in the room.
I'll go with her. Whoop, I just made my chair go down. I got so excited.
I saw her pick up that person.
I was like,
As you two start making your way back, you just have a chance to see Tinker's brother come over and clout Dakar around the back of the head. Doesn't actually knock him out because he rolled like shit, but he hammers him in the back of the head, and the guy sort of sags down. His crewmates turn and look at you, Tinker, and look to your brother and draw weapons like openly hostile towards you. I'm going to let you take an action if you want to try and move away, to engage, to calm.
With him slouching, does his grip on his axe loosen?
Yeah, I'm going to say you can absolutely take his axe.
I take his axe and I throw it overboard. And he points at the rest of the crew and he says, "I'm captain now."
They look to you. They look to the car. They look up at the torn sail. The crew starts getting off this ship.
No,
You are left standing there in front of the guys standing with you. Look like they were probably about to attack you, but the rest of the crew look like they have decided whatever the fuck is going on between you, Dakar, the captain, your brother, and Dakar's fucking people. You can have that fight on the ship that's all screwed up and has a torn sail. Everyone else who's anybody has decided to get off, apart from the people who are now almost having to backpedal quickly as Electra comes jogging down the ramp. People clear a path for Electra, so the elf and Electra come back on board.
So this is like a huge tear down the mainsail, right?
Oh, this is at least a day's worth of repairs. Have to take the sail down potentially, because it's torn right at the top where it's actually fastened to the crossbeam, and all the way down. No one had any. No one's challenged Kip at all because so much stuff has been going on with you guys. So Kip basically just was like, "Yeah, I can just do whatever I want," and hung himself from it.
Tinker
Sorry,
points.
just picturing a little halfling going down.
Tinker
Probably wasn't
points
even that
to
quick.
Dakar and Kyber, and then he points to Anvil and he says, "Prison." Brick.
Before you even get a real chance to do that, I presume 23 hits you.
23? From where?
From one of Dakar's men who you just clouted right in front
Oh,
of
I
him.
thought they all.
No. They are.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, they are very much looking like. they
Okay,
are-
so if they're still in front of me,
Yeah.
Tinker will start charging up Thunderwave, and he's
Okay.
going to point it towards the crew members, and then tap the deck of the boat, just very gently, and he's going to cast Thunderwave again.
Before you get a chance, they're going to get their attacks. Is
Okay.
the second your brother clouted
So
them.
So 23 does hit.
Then an 11.
Does not.
Which I presume doesn't. A 17
Does.
and a 16.
Does.
Okay.
Let's see.
They are armed with That is not a d20 for
I
damage.
guess I could take my reaction and use shield, but
It's up to you.
yeah, I'm gonna take my reaction
Okay.
and do
What is that for
shield,
your-
so that will bring me up to AC 20, so the 17 and 16 miss.
You
So
take
the only thing
one
that
hit.
hits is the 23rd.
You take 6 piercing damage from a short sword that launches out towards you, tries to jab into you and just nicks the edge of
Oh,
your
that's
arm.
perfect. Like I feel like he would get it stuck almost in one of the joints, and
Yeah.
then when he's that close, that's when Tinker kind of just looks at him, and it looks like he has a little glint in his eye, like a playful glint, and he tags him, and by tagging him, he casts Thunderwave.
Push. Okay. It's DC.
It is
14?
spell DC 14.
That is a 5. You actually, I'm also going to need to roll for Dakar. Dakar, natural 20, manages to brazen it out. The others take how much damage?
They take
7?
7, which goes down to 3.5, and in D&D, do you roll up or down when it comes
always.
to damage? Up, so 4.
So,
So Dakar
they
takes
take
4. Everyone else
No, he
who
takes 4,
failed,
the rest takes 7.
yeah, take
and are
7, and
flung-
whoever fails, they are thrown 10 feet away.
You
and
see
since he's
them
not
thrown-
Yeah, he's just gonna haphazardly throw them. Just
You watch as Electra and Zephyrus, you see whatever is going on there. You see a bit of a scuffle, and then you just hear like a massive thunder crack. You see part of the deck right outside the captain's quarters splinters. It doesn't like break entirely, but you see like the deck cracks. Splinters get kicked up in every direction. You guys will probably get a few splinters sort of hurled at you, and 4 individuals are flung across the deck and lay crumpled in a heap. They're not dead, they're not unconscious, but they're injured enough to, at this point, not want to continue fighting as they sort of prop themselves up, gather themselves, and start backing away from this commotion. Dakar manages to just cling to the deck and stands back up and is probably just going to try and attack you. He looks a little worse for wear.
If I'm watching Electra watch this, do I see any empathy in your eyes for this Gearforged? Because you're kind of the first person who's done anything that goes in line with my train of thought. Like, I saw that evil smile as soon as we mentioned the loot box there. Do you look at this impassively, like, I don't give a fuck, let's get to the loot box? Or is there even like a shred of, oh no, my friend?
I think she's looking at it a bit impassively right now because she like was focused on the father and child and came back to like she was planning on mutiny but not from Tinker, and she's just very like, I don't know what's going on. So yeah, she's not feeling like he looks okay. She's definitely like, okay, he looks
Okay.
fine.
We're
She
gonna
has a
keep sneaking
sympathy-
around the corners then.
Yeah. She's like, yeah, whatever.
Okay, this kind of thing might be common circumstance then. Okay, Zithris just is still so confused about what's going on, but yeah, okay. You got this, buddy.
She'll help you. She'll help you get the chest out.
Dakar stands, draws a knife from his boot in his offhand, and draws his other axe in his other hand, and will make 2 feeble attempts to attack you, Tinker, for a 7 with his axe and for a 5 with his dagger. He's a fighter through and through. He loves to fight. He's doing abysmally bad, though. He's also probably slightly concussed and pretty hurt from you and your brother. Your brother is standing beside you, ready to pummel him again.
When after the second attack swings, he gets close. Tinker's going to kind of bap him on the head and cast Shocking Grasp.
Okay.
So, 19,
Absolutely hits. Yep.
18 lightning damage. And I have advantage on the attack roll if the target's wearing any metal. The target takes 1d8 and can't make actions until the start of its next turn.
As you do that, your brother is also going to make it with the attack, and as a 23. At this point, it doesn't really matter. There's a pause as you shock and stun Dakar for a moment, and Anvil turns to you and says, "Not killing."
No,
He
not kill.
looks at him, and he just, like, in that almost cartoonish way, lifts his huge hand over the top of him and just goes poof, on the top of his head, and Dakar's eyes just roll, and he slumps down onto the deck. And you see the other crew members who, sort of his cronies, looking over at you. Some of them, their weapons are still lying nearby you. They take what little they have, and they start making their way over towards the gangplank. As they get there, they reach the bottom. They see that they are not exactly being welcomed onto the other ship. There are a selection of armed crew members who are looking down disapprovingly at them, as if they are no longer welcome aboard the other ship, which everyone's moved to. They're not the most popular people, with Dakar out of the picture or unconscious at this moment. Their command of respect has significantly plummeted, and they don't look like they're in much way of a fight. So they decide, instead of testing whether or not anyone will pull the gangplank out, they decide to hold here for a moment and seem to wait the storm out. Electra and Zephyrus, there is no longer a fight going on right in front of the captain's quarters if you want to try and make your way past Tinker and in.
Yeah,
Yep, we are gonna do so as sneakily as possible. The only thing missing, I'm assuming, is our stealth music as we are pressed up against the wall and kind of like.
I'll let you guys roll my stealth check to see if you can
Oh no!
So what
I got a 9.
I got
Tinker
19.
doesn't. I feel like Tinker doesn't see. Tinker doesn't see Zephyrus with his passive, but he sees Electra, and he just kind of like
Giant.
stares at Electra, and he waves.
continue stealthing.
and he signs, "I'm captain."
And I point at the captain on the ground, and I go,
Not kill.
He currently has Dakar and the captain, like, slumped at his feet. His brother's just standing there very proudly, like, looking around, puffed out chest. Claps Tinker on the shoulder.
Tinker then just looks over at the mast and he like lets out like a what sounds like just an exhaust fume of like what is a sigh that he can make, you know? It's like and he
It's like a train horn, like
No, you could see because he like emotes sighing and he goes up and he starts climbing the mast. And he pulls out a needle and thread and he starts sectioning off the tears.
Sew everything back together.
Well, no. He sections off to where he can make a 1 foot tear, cast mend, and then brings it together.
Okay.
Gets up more. So often up, and then
this boat isn't even made for like open water, right? Like it's a really shitty boat.
We could still sell the boat, though.
This is true.
I'm confused. I thought we were still on the ship that we raided.
No. This whole time we've been on the pirate ship.
Fuck this mode!
I'm sitting here because that's where I thought I was being held because
No!
Suddenly everyone's like, wait a minute.
I was
So Kip, as the only person on the other ship, you are captain. What do you do? Like,
Wow.
you're just in charge now. Well, while all this is going on, Kip, there's a lot of confusion, like the crew milling around on deck. Monroe is having a very angry argument with a bunch of people who the captain told to arrest him, and quite clearly haven't arrested him. Some of them have manacles out and stuff like that, and he's not openly aggressive to he's yelling at them, but he's not like got weapons drawn to defend himself. He seems to be trying to tell them that you hear him sort of saying like, the captain's led us from bad to worse. Everything's gone to shit while we were on that ship. We got a new ship. We can have a new captain. We can have a new life. And they're just sort of like, the captain gave us orders. He told us you were to be arrested. I'm not fucking with the captain. He's like, the captain's half dead. Tinker sorted that. He beat him bloody. But we cut our losses. We've got a good thing going here. And this argument continues on, Kip, as you are hearing all of this on the ship.
Ah, man. I guess Kip goes over to Monroe and this argument happening. And Kip will go,
Yeah, Monroe's right, you know? If Captain's half dead over there, it's time for something new. When's the last time that Kaibo let us in anything good? I can't fucking remember. This is our chance. It's now.
There's a murmur of approval through a few of them, sort of like, I mean, we get turned away from every port we turn up at. Ship's cursed. We've all said it. And sort of like, they look a bit torn. See, one of them goes over the edge of the ship, and then he rushes back over and he says, Captain's fucking bleeding all over the deck. He can barely stand. Looks like Tinker took out Dakar as well. Look, we could fucking just leave them. Kick the gangplank in the water. We're sorted here. There's again a kind of murmur. No one seems to have the majority. There's a lot of mixed opinions and not a lot of competence.
Tinker is going to look at Anvil, tell Anvil to pick up both Dakar and Kyber, and tell him to follow as he starts walking onto the gangplank, and he stares at the other people on the other side, and he holds up his hands that is now crackling with static electricity again. And then he kind of gestures them to move aside.
Okay. We will see what happens in just a moment, but I believe some people were trying to steal from the captain.
So, once we're inside, I close the door behind us.
Okay.
When I was in here with the captain earlier, he gave me a tour. Absolutely not believable at all. She's not even trying to hide the fact that she's straight up lying. And, well, I saw how strong you are, and and you're gonna want to cover your face. It's... And she opens the door, which I'm assuming then we're wafted.
A warm waft greets you.
A warm waft. Why
like,
did you say that?
It's like the air almost has a solidity to it, like a thickness.
I'm the only wizard who hasn't taken prestidigitation. This is awesome. And I just kind of point over to where the chest is with the bow wrapped metal bar. You think you can strong him that?
Do you want me to pick it up or break it?
Undo the metal bar just in case the captain wakes up, and then we can be like, oh, it wasn't us, Yeah.
I wink and I go over and try to
Roll me an
rip
athletics
it
check.
apart.
Rip it apart.
Ah, that's low for me.
This thing does not seemingly want to budge. You take a moment.
Oh, I'm feeling self-conscious.
Can I come over and try to give her a hand? Maybe like pull on one end, and she like.
Can I go into a rage and try to?
Yeah, absolutely. At advantage.
I back off at that
Give me an
point.
athletics check.
Yeah, I focus in, and then this sort of like crackles of lightning like go on my biceps as I go into a rage, and I try to pull it open again.
Holy shit! Double 24. She rips, she's like, and then you stand like holding this thing up in the air. You realize she's actually just pulled the entire mechanism off the chest, and is still trying to. And then you realize that hold on, there's no weight to this, and you're holding it in the air. You just like ripped like a portion of the front of the chest off.
Zithris has like this huge shit-eating grin on her face as she looks over, and she's looking at you like you're a piece of treasure. Like we are best friends now.
We're a duo.
We are. I like you, strong lady. And
I'll throw the thing at the window.
I will kind of like push open the chest to see what's in it. Try to make sure she's not gonna like beat me.
Inside is a filthy sack that, if you move, clinks very loudly. There is a pile of jewels, treasure sort of looking thing, a battered looking notebook of some kind, a talisman, what looks to be a cut down blunderbuss that doesn't have anything to load into it, but has powder to prep it for firing, and what looks to be chart and simple navigator's tools.
I'm gonna take the navigator's tools.
Okay.
Because those are expensive.
Navigator's tools are good.
And what is the talisman of?
The talisman looks to be made of string and bone. Doesn't look like the most sophisticatedly guarded or carved thing.
I shrug, look at her. Oh, is there like a fake bottom in this at all?
No.
Okay.
That's way too sophisticated. He locks his chest with just by bending a piece of metal so no one can get into it. Fake bottoms are way beyond him.
No gold, I say, a little
There's
sad.
a huge sack that jingles if you move it.
Okay.
Please don't. Please.
It's gonna be full copper.
If you look inside, there is some Electra. You are gonna have to be the one to carry this. There is a sum of somewhere in the region of. You can make me an educated guess each. Give me an intelligence check.
Okay.
I'm so great at that.
Oh, that's a 7.
That's a non-natural one.
1 billion gold. Clearly, this is what is politically referred to or typically referred to as a shitload of gold.
I look at her and I'm like, I'm gonna take a few handfuls for myself and just put it in and be like, you watch the rest.
I'll just grab it and hoist it over my shoulder.
It even for you is difficult.
Is there is there anything in this that we can hide said sack of gold? Like
I'm just gonna leave and be like,
is there a big money sign on this sack? Like
it says grain on the side.
Okay.
But it's quite clearly clinks like it's made of gold, like it's full of gold and coin and other things. It's a mixed bag of coin. You could wrap it inside as bed sheets. You could take the captain's bed sheets if you want.
Could we split it into 2 small? No, I have an 8 strength. Fuck that. Yeah, no. Let's go find you a new room on the other ship, and we'll hide it in your room. That's my thought process. So, can we try to stealth onto the new ship with this fuck ton of gold?
Roll me a sleight of hand.
At disadvantage or at regular?
No.
Come on,
not
Electra.
disadvantage. It's just a high DC.
Yes!
That is a 22.
This is our retirement gold, girl. You got this.
Let's just go
There
get our
is-
own boat.
Loud
guys.
clinking noises, but somehow amongst the shouting, no one hears you. However, before we get back to you guys making your way out on deck, Tinker, you square off against some people who are currently looking at you in a mixture of confusion. You see a conversation goes amongst them, and they will slowly part out the way for you. You are allowed on board. You are muted.
It's because the pupper came in. Tinker walks across the gangway, and as soon as he sees Monroe, he points at him, and then he points at himself, and he says, "I'm captain now."
You see a few people look over towards you, look at him, and he licks his lips. You've got a decent passive perception.
Whoa, that was hilarious.
Are you okay?
Are you okay? Please tell me you're okay.
Okay, she's laughing, which now means I can laugh.
Oh,
Please
my
tell
shitty
me.
already broken chair broke more. That's hilarious. I just was like, I'll just lean back in this already broken chair. Broken.
When you are carrying so much gold,
It actually
even
affects
your
you
player
IRL.
falls over. Oh my god. Oh, that was beautiful.
Don't mind me. I have to text my girlfriend a photo of this.
Oh god. Okay.
I can actually relate with shitty chairs because this is what I'm sitting on right now. So
Oh no.
shitty chair people unite.
So, you come up. Monroe gestures to you, Tinker, to follow you over, to follow him into the captain's quarters. And he steps back into them, and you see a few other people head inside, along with one of the. You notice that he goes in alongside. I'm gonna say. Where are my goddamn notes? Where's my notes of all the crew on? You see a couple of bosuns go in as well, who sort of ranking seniors on the deck who haven't really been involved in any of this because usually are involved in, sailing, of which very little has occurred in the last 4 hours. There's been a lot of arguments and fighting and changing of captains and musical chairs and a billion and one other things. So sort of the ranking officers, or what they get for what you've got in ways of ranking officers, make their way inside. Do you follow him?
He does, but he points to one of the people, and he points at their pistol, and he just kind of is like, "Gimme."
The guy draws his sword, draws his pistol, hands it to you hilt first, and a few other people come over towards you and stand nearby you, hands on blades, but not aggressively. They look like they have made their choice, as you have literally blown. You fucked up 2 potential captains. They've made their choice, so they will escort you. So you now have, for the time being, about 5 loyal crew members who are armed, 1 minus his pistol, who follow you in, and on deck. Everyone else will see this happen. It gives Electra and Zephyrus a perfect opportunity to go down below deck. Zephyrus, you would probably know there are some private quarters below deck, which you could go and dibs with Electra if you want.
Yeah, okay.
Okay. As that happens, Kip, you see all of this happening on deck. you see Monroe makes his way inside. Do you accompany him with the others, as it looks like Tinker is here to claim the ship?
Yeah, Kip will follow Monroe and see what's happening with the whole situation.
As you come in, as you were closer, he looks to you for a moment, and he will step. As the corridor comes down, he'll step round the corner slightly into the main room, and looks to you, Kip. And you speak. What languages do you speak, Kip?
Common and halfling.
He only shares common with you. He crouches and will very quietly say to you, "You got my back?"
With what? Like, probably, but
That's as far as he gets, because at this point Tinker walks in and he straightens up and goes to stand by the desk. Tinker gestures for you to
levels the gun at Monroe, and without saying anything, without gesturing anything, fires it into Monroe's kneecap.
Holy shit!
Okay.
Okay, roll me to hit. As he looks at Kip as his knee potentially explodes and says, This is what
Okay,
terrible
so
situation.
This got intense.
So it's 1d20 plus 4. Okay.
Yeah, Dex plus proficiency.
11.
You do not hit. You fire, it will, I'm going to say, because you nearly hit, grazes past him, and everyone in the room that I can speak for NPC-wise draws weapons. Some of them level guns at you because you keep shooting at people. So there's a few, like, there's 4 of the ranking kind of people on the ship who level guns at you. Not necessarily siding with Monroe, but you fucking hold a gun on people and keep shooting. Your guys have weapons already out. They draw pistols. Other people draw pistols. Kip, what do you?
Kip draws blades and kind of like points one at Tinker and kind of has one just kind of like at the ready, just pointed at whoever is going to do something next.
Okay. Monroe summons Eldritch Wrath into his hands, and
Tinker
so that's
points
how
at
it
him,
is.
and he says, "You bad man. I detest you. You want to kill. I not kill. I detest killing, but I hurt you."
Okay, so that's how this is. So you're okay with half drowning the fucking captain, and you're okay with kneecapping me, but because I want to fucking get this crew as far away from that fucking cursed ship, that's what we're falling out about.
You want to kill. I
Who?
want to help.
Who am I trying to kill?
And he takes his jaw and he dislocates it to show that it's Kyber half jaw.
Oh, it takes him a moment.
And then he clicks it back into place.
We were gonna leave him on the ship.
My boat. Now, you, and
Sure.
he points towards the door.
I ain't leaving. You want to try me? We can do this right here, right now.
I think we should just wait a little bit until we get everyone else. I mean, we all know shit's fucked here. Like,
Kip points to Tinker.
Yeah.
you know that Kaiba was a fucking shit captain, right?
Everyone.
Why do we
But-
not try to go in the same direction here? Think we're all going to be happier from it? We got a ship here. We can make whoever captain. If you want to be captain, I don't know. You want to be captain? You want to be captain?
Kip starts pointing to people.
It's like, yeah, everyone can have a chance to be
There's a couple of
captain.
people like, I fucking love to be captain.
Yeah, you fucking would, wouldn't you? Yeah, and you have the opportunity to do this right now. So let's just stop this. Wait till we get everyone aboard. Fucking leave the other ship. Then we can talk about it.
Okay. But he points at Monroe. He, Brig.
For trying to help us out? Not quite sure.
You fought the captain. You're the mutineer. There's a ripple that kind of goes through the room as people weigh that up with their own set of pirate morals, which are very limited.
I want to help everyone.
And I want to help those who ain't gonna sink us. You want to bring Dakar on board? How long before he puts a knife to your throat? Already tried it, from what I can see. You want to bring his fucking thugs on board? You want to
Tinker
bring the captain?
goes and takes one of the swords and he jams it into the throat where his voice modulator would be and looks directly at Monroe. When he says, put a knife to your throat, and he scrapes the metal across and just shows that just scratches the wood, stone, and metal. What?
You think you can stand against all of Dakar's men? You think you can expect anyone here to pretend that he didn't just try and take over the ship?
I look at the men and say, I
Actually,
make
roll for that. Because
you all heroes.
one of them looks at you and, I prefer rich.
People love heroes.
And how are you going to make us
From
hero?
your-
Money or power. Money, dollars, or gold. Yeah, gold.
Okay. There's a tense moment. One of them looks at Kip as he asks how you're going to make them heroes, and yeah, there's a few people looking over at you curious. You see a little bit of greed in their eyes at the idea of you making them heroes, yeah? It's a prospect they like. It's a prospect they've heard before.
Tinker looks at. We obviously have a map of like the continent that we're on, right? Which is what again?
Yes, in here you do. The continent is Avara. The kingdom you're off the coast of is called Sidwell.
What's the main capital cities like Europort, Mantle, Mossus, and stuff? Which of those hate us the most?
Europort.
I was gonna say probably Europort.
Europort. Yeah.
He points to Europort and says, "We help them."
They all look, particularly a little bit of background for you guys. Europort is where the Navy is based. Navy do not like pirates. at all. And they generally... It's also the only place that... This ship was probably built in Europort. It's the only place that has a big enough shipyard to build ocean-faring ships. So there's a mixed bag there, but a few of them sort of seem like that might have actually swayed them further towards Monroe, kind of looking at you. You want to help pirates.
Hold on, I gotta double check something. I thought I learned it. Okay, yeah. I'm not a pirate.
Are you trying to like basically suggest that you go straight or like lie about it? Or
well, yeah, no. Well, he's being honest. Like, I'm not a pirate. I make machines.
How does that make us? How the fuck does that help us? We are pirates, says one of them.
You, my helpers.
Roll me a persuasion check as they try and do the mental acrobatics of trying to figure out what it is exactly you're offering them. They look to you and look a little confused. There doesn't seem to be much in the way of swaying towards... You notice, like, your guys seem to falter a little bit. It's still very tense. It's a mixed bag of not really understanding what you're being offered, and also some of them just like being fucking pirates. So they look at you and...
He points to Europort. He says, they know old boat. They don't know new boat. He, like, gestures to the ship.
One of the guys standing next to you pats you on the shoulder and says, "Exactly. Tinker can make things. We can be merchants. We can sail into Europe for free men."
You know, I don't know about any of you, but I'm kind of satisfied with never going back to Europort again. But that's just me.
This is like a tug of war between two sides. Very much
Yeah,
still
and then like Tinker just sighs and he points to Mantle.
All right.
Help, Mantle.
Better than Europort, yeah.
There's a few people like, we can get behind that. Mantle does fucking good trade. They got shit from the capital, and it seems to sway more towards your favor. And Monroe just, I ain't going into the fucking brig. Not a chance. Only thing I've tried to do is break the fucking curse of that ship under that shitty captain.
Fine. But you, and he dislocates his jaw, Kyber, and he gestures, hug.
Shakes his head. I'm not going near him. You beat him bloody. You really think he's going to play nice with anyone?
Yes. He not want to die. You not want to die. I don't kill.
Where is Kyber right now?
Kyber, no one's brought him on board, so he's still on the other ship.
Anvil would have brought
wait. Anvil would have brought them both up. In which case, he probably only would have just arrived because he can only take one at a time, and it is not even to haul a limp, slumped orc up a gangplank at near 45 degrees, no matter how strong you are, on two moving ships that are starting to already to separate slightly.
we're all like in a hallway right now, or
You guys are in the captain's quarters, standing around a desk. Pretty much one side of the desk is Tinker and his 4 or 5 people who seem to be sort of backing him up. There's a Monroe and the other ranking officers from the ship who are standing on the other side. They're squaring off at each other. You're kind of in the middle between the two of them at this point, I suppose.
Kip wants to go sneak off and find wherever Kaibar is.
Okay. You can make it out pretty much. I mean, all the tension is between these two at the moment, and no one pays you much attention. There's tons. The whole crew is pretty much on deck at this point. A few people are just decided, you know what, we're going to make the ship ready to sail, because that means we don't have to worry about the arguments and shit. We can just do our jobs and go back to, being sailors. That's all they want to do. So other people are like bringing up a little bit of loot, and you see a few people have rifles or muskets, leveled. Not many on board, but are leveled at Dakar and his men, who are currently on the other ship and haven't been permitted aboard. Apart from, Dakar's been brought aboard, but Dakar's men are all slumped, sort of like at the mast on your now sort of crippled ship, and none of the crew have let the thugs come on board.
Okay, is anyone's what's his name, Kaibar on the board of the Lady Doth Protest, or what is
and he would have been tied up to the mast, and Anvil will be making his way to look for his brother, so we'll probably pass you as he comes in to check that his brother is okay.
Okay, yeah, Kip wants to go up to Kaibar, and is anyone's attention on him?
Vaguely, there's a few people standing nearby just in case he comes around, but he seems to almost sort of be not unconscious, but not really with it, and he's like his arms and midsection are tied to the mast. They've used a lot of rope, or more importantly, Anvil has used a lot of rope to make sure he's in place.
An excessive amount of rope.
An excessive amount of rope.
To anyone in the general area, Kip wants to say to them,
I think there's some sort of meeting going on in Captain's quarters. People are like getting a vote or something. They probably want to go check that out. I've already submitted mine so I can watch.
Don't even have to roll anything. Like at this point, people are like, they're fucking voting without us, and they like muscle their way forward, and it passes through the crew. But yeah, you get your moment.
all right. Kip pulls out a dagger. Still wants to be pretty stealthy about it, but kind of just wants to coup de grace Kaibar. Just wants to slash him across the throat.
Roll me a sleight of hand. He physically cannot do anything to move out of the way. Yep.
11.
It's not the cleanest. You slit his throat, you get a slight splash of blood on you, but most of it just comes out and starts pouring down him. You get maybe like 2-3 steps away, and a few people turn and look. They don't immediately look at you, they look at the captain, move over, but you might have been sort of not deliberately seen during the act, but a few people come over, and you see at least one person sort of near the back looking over. A few people gather around and then glances over at you and gives you a look like, did you just off the captain?
He was already heading that direction anyway.
There's a pause. A few people kind of look down. And then you hear something which sounds soft and wet. And one of the men closest to him stands up, and you see he takes his blade, which is now coated in blood, and wipes it openly on his pants leg, not trying to hide it, slips it away, and a few other people who are gathered around take out their knives, and all of a sudden you see about 6 of them just stab the captain in the chest pull out their knives, clean them, and one of them just looks to you and just... It was already hidden in that way. And they sheath their knives and they all walk in separate directions.
Yeah, Kip just wants to leave that whole scene, go back to the captain's room.
It is now cramped in there. At this point, I'm going to say Zipporus would have had a chance to have hidden this so well. No one is paying any attention.
I was gonna say,
So, yeah, it's like we're-
pull out, like wall pieces and just like stuff it in there, and like at certain points of the night we'll come through and like start dividing the copper and the bronze and the whatever, and just get up.
Yeah,
good
like
pieces.
we've got so much stuff.
I'll let you roll me another intelligence check each.
Okay.
10?
17.
Okay. Electra, you reckon there's quite a few hundred gold here, maybe? You reckon it's more akin to maybe $2,000. This is the captain's swag. You guys haven't been to a port in a fuck ton of time.
What
This is
we're
also-
gonna do
this
is
is also-
every time we go to land, we're gonna take a little bit with us and change it into platinum.
This is also the point of... Oh, some of it's in platinum, some of it's in golds.
Yeah, we're
However,
essentially gonna trade in, trade up.
I will tell you guys that this is probably to do with upkeep of the entire ship, because if your ship gets damaged,
That sounds
someone
like a
has
problem
to-
for the captain, and right now there's a lot of those.
There's like 5 captains and we're not them, so.
She like reaches up for a high five for you. Yes.
As this is all going on somewhere else, you guys come upstairs.
We just get like bunk beds and count our money and never hang out with anybody else.
You're just the cool kids who are just gonna like buy everything.
Smoke.
Yeah, just like smoking like.
We,
Smoking
I
in the
suppose it's not
bathroom.
rolled up currency, but like.
we come up very pleased with ourselves.
When you come up onto deck, there's a few crew members sort of standing awkwardly round looking at the captain, who has been tied to a mast and repeatedly stabbed. You can already tell he bled to death a couple of minutes ago, at least. He's had his throat cut and about 6 or 7 stabs right through the chest. It's severed some of the rope that was holding his torso in place, but not enough that it's stopped. He's just sort of slumped forward, being held against the mast. And there's already conversation going around like, "Are we? Who killed the captain? What the fuck is going on?"
I think we have a new captain now.
There's confusion. You see that down the end, captain's quarters doors are open. You can see there's a large body of people who are gathered inside. Kip, you managed to weave your way through people and using your diminutive size to get to the front. Monroe looks at you, Tinker, as this is going on outside and says, "What gives you the right to call yourself captain? We don't even know what you are."
I'm Tinker. I'm captain.
You want to be captain? I'll fight you for it. Me and you.
I look over at Anvil. I look over at the crew.
The crew look and sort of look around. Anvil looks very confused, but looks at you and gives you a big thumbs up.
Yeah, I'm doing the same thing from the background.
Fine. Tomorrow.
All right. At dawn.
Fine.
Who's
There's a
making dinner?
murmur.
Who's making dinner?
There's a murmur that ripples through the gathered crew as, now captainless, the ships drift slowly, one crippled, one gutted, devoid of all but 4 crew members at this point. The other ship, now almost ready to make waves, if only there was someone to claim captaincy. We will find out next week who takes the title, takes the biggest, the fanciest hat with the most feathers in it. But in the meantime, we're going to have to bid everyone adieu and wrap up there, because that is all we've got time for this week. Wow, that was a 3-hour Royal Rumble for the captainship, and we are having round 2 next week. This is going to be the whole thing. You guys, we should just lash the ships together. Someone said it earlier in chat, make a battle barge. Fuck it. Fuck it. Why not? We'll do it together.
Now we have to be the Red Lady does protest.
The Red Lady doth protest. That's what it's going to be. We're just going to add, and then like every time you take a ship, you just lash it to the side of your ship. Just get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger as it all goes through.
The Red Lady doth protest too much. We just keep adding a whole sentence.
Yeah.
It becomes like a novel by the end of it.
It becomes the title of a Fallout Boy song.
The Red Lady doth protest too much of all the gin joints in all the world.
No, just keep adding. It's easy. You just keep putting out more and more chairs. It'll be absolutely fine. But in the meantime, let's go around the casting crew, find out how we found today's episode, where we can find you, and all that sweet jazz. Let's start off with Electra, who saved someone today. Saved 2 people. In fact, I don't like so many people are unaware that you did anything good, and I feel like you deserve to get it. Like
Tinker knows.
you got overshadowed by evil shit.
I saved lives, but not the bottom of my chair. You can find me on Twitter at Mackenzie Wilkes, just my name, nothing fancy. And you can also catch me every Wednesday at 6 p.m. Central at twitch.tv/godsfall. I play Astrid Elvea, demigoddess of constellations in the show Rise of the Demigods. We just started season 2 and it's been really fun. So so that's where you can find me.
Jam, that sounds pretty dope. I look forward to it. Speaking of pretty dope, the steeliest, roguiest elf of the...
I mean,
this is like,
I'm pretty happy. I went
just...
from being interrogated in the captain's quarters to
We got money.
2 bitches on this ship. We're going shopping in Mantle. That's a D&D shopping trip. One of my favorite things to do in roleplay. Really happy with how the session turned out. Was a little worried. Glad I have nothing to do with the captain fuckery that's going on the ship right now, because my poor character is so confused, but glad that she finally has a friend. On Mondays, you can catch me over on my channel, Roleplayers, where we do Age of Arcana, which is a homebrew 5th edition world, which uses magic a little bit differently and is really enticing. And my friends are over there with me, including Joshua. On Tuesdays, we're over there for Campaign 3 of the Long March, which actually originated here on Encounter Roleplay. You can check it out on their YouTube for Campaigns 1 and 2 and 2.5, I think. Yeah. On Wednesdays, I'm over with Tales from the Grim, where we do our Dragonlance D&D campaign. Honoria Solanthus, we have just recently done our mid-season finale, so I won't be there for a couple of weeks because our Dungeon Master is getting married! Yay, Dawn! You all know him. Dawn from Fire is a Dungeon Master here from time to time. Thursdays is Critical Role Day. That's what we're all doing, let's face it. Fridays, I got the day off. You can probably catch me on my channel playing World of Warcraft, like the rest of us fucking fiends that now no longer have a knife because WoW is out. Saturdays, of course, you can catch me here, and Sundays is my day off. And yeah, that's it. Love you guys.
Fantastic. Dropping it down to Crone. Does Kip have any idea what's going on? Is Kip going to be captain? Kip is muted. Kip is lost for words.
No, but Kip knows what he wants to do. We'll perhaps see it played out next time. But yeah, we'll see. It'll definitely be interesting. But My name is Crowan. You can find me on Twitch and Twitter. It's at Crowan, Khroan. I play in a bunch of other D&D campaigns. You can see me tweet about them on my Twitter. I stream Heroes of the Storm sometimes, soon to be Classic WoW, hopefully in the near future. And that's about it.
For the Horde, buddy.
For the Horde.
For the Horde.
JL Nice Girl should be back with us next week. And finally, but certainly not least,
The captain.
My captain, question mark on the end, maybe. How you doing, Gaming Dog?
I'm doing great. I'm Zippy Zippo, also known as Gaming.exp on Twitter. I do a lot of streaming right now. I've been working so hard with working on a movie set that I haven't really been able to stream, but when I do stream, I did the WoW Classic stress test, which was fun, and I might start streaming more retail WoW until I can get into the beta, but we'll see.
Retail WoW.
Yeah, retail WoW.
Well, fantastic. We look forward to seeing you. Good luck on the movie stuff. And I guess that's just me left. My name is Encounter Joshua. You can find me on Roleplayers TV, where I do loads of streaming of stuff like The Witcher and get traumatized.
Yeah, that game is
fucking so traumatized by the game. And other things, and generally just playing video games and being tormented by chat, or learning to play a lot of games that I don't know how to play. And also dungeon mastering for the Long March, a couple of other things hopefully to be coming soon, and playing in Age of Arcana. That's all for me. In the meantime, we're going to wrap this up, and the line that we end on is...
Try not to roll too many net ones, because we want to be laughing there when you do. Good night, everybody.